Hello student, here is one more video for pure culture, that is part 2. Here we are going to learn about maintenance and preservation of pure culture, that we have studied how we can purify them, right, in our previous part. So in part 1 we basically study how I can prepare how I can form a pure culture with the help of different technique that we learned, that is spread plate, pour plate, streaking. These were the different technique that we studied in our part 1. In this part 2, we are going to learn about maintenance of those pure culture, as in maintaining the pure culture is equally important as we are forming the pure culture, right? Again, preservation, as in we are going to maintain them. As what do you mean by maintain? We are trying to avoid the contamination from our other colonies as it is in a pure form, as well as we are trying to keep it into a live state, that is a preservation. So how I can make it out, let's see. So first we'll talk about maintenance of pure culture. In maintenance, what I'm going to learn about is how I can maintain, why I need to maintain, right? So we'll first try to understand why I need to maintain a pure culture. See, if you know that pure culture is basically a pure strain of a single colony. There are many more colony, but all those colonies will belongs to a specific species only. So that is your pure culture, right? So this pure culture can be maintained in a stock. So maintaining stock culture in a collection form is important because we do have a many more requirement which are listed here. I'll go one by one. The first one is screening. Screening means if I have a specific pure culture of a specific organism, say for example E. coli, so I can check my chemotherapeutic agent, I can screen out that how effective this is over a specific strain, because all the population colonies belong in that specific population will get affected if the chemotherapeutic agent is effective, right? So what you are doing is, as you are maintaining a stock culture, that stock culture is utilized to check out a chemotherapeutic agent, because if we are going to check it in a multiple colonies at a time within a same plate, it is not going to give us a actual result, because some of them we have may have a resistivity and the other may have a sensitivity. So this is not going to give us a actual calculation of our agent, a specifically chemotherapeutic one. So what we are doing is, by maintaining a stock culture, we can screen out the potentiality of a chemotherapeutic agent, right? Again, we can perform a assay, as we are having a stocks in our hand. So I can go for many more assays, right, for a specific molecule. So I can be performing a concentration assay, I can perform a quantitative effect of that molecule over a particular microorganism. So I can perform a assay tools. I can use it as a assay tool. Next, I can use it for a vaccine production too, right? As I got to know that there is a colony that it can produce specific strain, right? It can produce a, say for example, it can produce a streptomycin. So what I can do, I can produce that particular pure culture in more amount, and then I can have a vaccine production done. Then again I can use it as a anti-sera or anti-tumor agent. So again, as chemotherapeutic agent, I can use it as an anti-sera and anti-tumor agent. So this is how I can utilize my stock culture. But maintaining this stock culture, these are the different reasons why I need to maintain my pure culture into a stock form. The reason we got to know, but how we can maintain? There is a different technique, different method we can make out, right? So how we can do? Strains can be maintained periodically, right, by providing a fresh stock. As in, what I have to do is I have to maintain them periodically by providing a fresh medium, right? And I can culture them from previous stock culture. So whichever stock I have, right, whichever stock culture I have, this stock culture I can remove some amount of a colony from it, and I can culture into a fresh medium, and then again they will try to grow and develop in that medium, and likewise it will be periodically grown and subcultured in a new fresh stock every month or every term time span it has completed with. So periodically it should be done, because completed as in we have learned about a growth phase or a growth curve, wherein we have got to know that specific microorganism has a specific time period of their life. So when we come to know that they are about to enter into a death phase, we can subculture into a new fresh medium, right? So this is how I can maintain my stock culture. So let's see what are the different method. So maintaining it with the help of preservation. The first is fresh medium. What I can do is, as it is said that periodically the fresh medium should be changed after the fresh medium has been utilized up by the colony that has entirely entered into a stationary phase. So what I can do is, suppose day 1 I'll culturing it into in one plate, then this growth and propagation in that fresh medium will continue until that particular colony enters into a death phase, right? So during that period they will consume certain time span, say for example they will consume a 1 week. So they are maintaining themselves within that medium, and once we got to know now, yes, they are entering into a death phase, so I'll add up the colony into the fresh medium. Again they will start their growth and propagation, and likewise after 1 week or 10 to 12 days I have to continuously provide a fresh medium, so that my stock of pure culture can be preserved, right? Other way I can do is very interesting, in which what I'll try to do is I'll try to reduce a time span of their growth and development, right? The way I did in a fresh medium, what I did, I provided a fresh medium after a 1 week, right? I can make certain modification in this so that it can cross the 1 week too. That modification requires what? I'll reduce the temperature they require as the optimum one. I'll reduce the ingredient they required as their optimum ingredients. So likewise I can slow down their cell division, and thus I can lengthen the period of their propagation, so that they'll enter at a later stage of their life into a death phase, right? So here is the same technique. I'm going to slower their procedure of cell division. So if the cell division procedure is slower, ultimately cells are not going to divide with that fast manner, right, to give us a growth over a plate. So what I can do is, if I grown my colony, right, into a petri dish, or say you can uh, test tube. So what I can do is I can make it out into the form of a slant, rather than making a tube in a butt form. I can make a slanting position, agar into within a test tube. So agar which is there in a slanting position where I have grown my culture. Now I can do one thing, I can put oil over it. So putting oil will do what? The gas exchange will get slower down, the gas exchange rate will get slower down, so the cells cannot respire at their regular rate. So definitely what will happen, their growth will get slower down due to the rate of respiration has lowered, right? So this is how I can do with the help of oil. So I'll be adding a one interface between air and colony where they are actively respiring. Now after adding oil, they cannot respire very active manner. Fine, this is how I can perform a olive sorry oil over lead method. The next one more interesting method is lyophilized. What is done is, to preserve a method, I can lyophilize a culture for more than 20 to 30 years. So what you have seen is, in fresh medium I can maintain a culture for say for 10 days or 12 days, and after that I have to perform a again fresh medium, that is subculturing I have to perform. In overlaid, 10 days can be increased to the some extent, that is I can perform the subculturing after you can say a 1 month or say a 2 month in overlay. But in lyophilize you don't have to subculture the thing every time. The cell will remain in a live state say for 30 years. This is a method which is called freeze drying. What is done in this method is, in the process you do have a cell suspension. That cell suspension is allowed to sublime with the help of vacuum generated. So what will happen, whichever ice is there, that ice will enter into a cell suspension part with the condition say vacuum, and they, rather than entering into a liquid state, they will directly enter into a gaseous phase. So what will happen, after entering directly into the gaseous phase, they can easily enter into the cell suspension and they can remain there. So what will happen, again if I remove the vacuum, what will happen, the actual ice will come back to its own original position, that is into ice, and your cells will get dehydrated. In this, the cells are not going to get damaged because we are not going to form any crystal sort, right? And in this, the cells are dehydrated, right? So this dehydration is not going to make, this dehydration is being done by freezing, not direct dehydration, right? So it is not going to harm our cells, and the cell will remain into state say for 30 years. So this is the best option, rather than providing a fresh medium after 1 week, or providing fresh medium in this oil overlay for say for 1 month. So this is a best method. I can use my stock whenever I require. I don't have to maintain and preserve it for many time. Next is the low temperature, same as your lyophilized. What we are going to do is, in this we are going to use a liquid nitrogen. So in lyophilized, one more point is that we need to maintain that culture at less than minus 150 degrees Celsius, so that it will remain in a freezed condition, right? So same here is the state, low temperature. What we are going to do is, uh, we are not going to freeze dry it. It will directly been dried by utilizing a liquid nitrogen. How it is done is, before adding a cell suspension into liquid nitrogen, we will be adding a cryoprotectant, right? Cryoprotectant agent. What is cryoprotectant? These are the agent which will help. The examples are glycerol. These are the actual agent which won't allow your cell to get damaged. How? Because once ice will form, you are going to keep it into a very low temperature, so ice will definitely form of your cell suspension. So that ice will form a crystal, so this crystal will pierce your cell and ultimately leads to the cell damage. So for such thing not to happen, we are going to add a cryoprotectant. What this cryoprotectant are doing? They are maintaining a cell actual integrity, so that their intactness should not be lost due to the crystal formation within a cell itself, within cell as well as within during that lower temperature preservation. So what is done is, um, we do have a low temperature. With the help of liquid nitrogen, you are going to take your vials. In that vials you are having a suspension culture. This suspension culture is mixed with the cryoprotectant, and then this cryoprotectant and cell suspension is directly dipped into a liquid nitrogen where they get freezed, right? Once they get freezed, this immediately transferred into the freezer, where you do have a uh, less than room temperature. uh, More specifically, you do keep it into minus 20 degrees Celsius, where I can maintain a ice structure in its form. Again, like lyophilized, I can maintain it for 30 years, and we are not going to make any harm to the cell due to the crystal formation within a ice. So this is how I can preserve my pure cultures, right? So next, collection of culture. This is the next topic in which we are going to study why we need to collect the culture, right? Collecting a culture is important because as we are going to preserve and maintain them within our own lab, but if within that one single lab, if it is maintained, that culture will be helpful for that specific lab itself, right? But if it is being accessible at different position, so we can, or different scientists can make use of such culture, and they can come up with a different result to produce a vaccine, to produce a chemotherapeutic agent, right? So what we have to do is, rather than collecting a specific strain within a lab, we should centralize the thing. So for that, we need to have a central collection, right? So what is done in central collection? We are going to have acquisition, preservation. Acquisition as in, you do have a, say for example, lab 1, lab 2, lab 3. Lab 1 is there in your UK, lab 2 is there in Canada, and lab 3 is there in India. So what we can do, we can centralize our collection. How we can make the centralization? I'll be submitting my all the number of different number of colonies that is in a pure form to a central collecting point. In the same way, the UK people and Canada people will do, and in this fashion, I'll have a different collection of strain. So whenever I require, I can take the collection of from their side. So likewise, I need to make a acquisition of a collections, right, from the different labs. Then definitely, if I have collected, I need to preserve that culture into its state, into its dormant state, or else you can it in a live state, so that whenever I try to revive them, I will be having a colony with the same characteristic, right, in which I am intended to have, in which I am trying to get my results of my experiment. Again, central will help for the distribution of authentic cultures, as I have a many more cultures with me, right? The major collection point is American type of culture collection, where maximum submission of culture is being done throughout the world. This is called ATC. ATCC. It is the most famous one, where this is a central point where we can get any of the culture type out of the world, where all we can find in this ATCC, American type of culture collection. Okay, thank you.